What up, Wheatfield? What up to you? This is your girl Lati, just popping in real quick. We got our package, and it was taped up like to what? Look at all this tape, and I tore it off like a savage. Like what? Anywho, we wanted to open it up, and we was like, well, what is it? I don't even remember what it was that I ordered, you know. Anywho. We opened it up, and the first thing we saw was like this paper, and it was like, what is this? And then we pulled it out. Look, y'all. We got it. What is the it? We're going to open up together so you can see it. I realized what it was when I saw it, and I was like, ooh, we gotta do an opening up video just so we can show it. Because again, you know, we're a reader and we're a studier, and like we always say, we study world theology, and we like to read as many words as we can get our hands on. Isn't that pretty how they did it? It's just so precious. And I don't even know what the paper says. It's like that old school, like, it feels like it's like that, it's not textile print, but it's something kind of like that. And I almost don't want to release it and take it out, but I'm gonna, because I want to show y'all, really. And so I'm going to be real careful with the packaging just so I can kind of get it out. Thanks. It says, I hope you love your beautiful Bible and it brings you a lifetime of joy and blessings. I'll show it to you in a minute because I'm being real careful. I don't want to disturb all of it. You know, it's got a lot of stuff that they kind of did to the packaging, which is really neat, you know. I'm going to have to take it off because I can't open it up and use it, and it's to be used. It's not going to just sit. Is it to be used? Yes. It's not going to just sit being useless on display. We will display it, but we will also use it because that's what it's made for, Ashe. Wow. And I don't know if the people who sold it will ever see this video, and to know that I so appreciate how they packaged it. Maybe I'll go back in and leave a comment. Oh, wow. Y'all, look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Some people might be like, oh, it's just an old book, but it's not. It's not. The Holy Bible, complete in how to understand it. It is a teaching Bible from the 1800s. Wow. Wow. Publisher's announcement. Union Theological Seminary of New York City, June 15th, 1869. Wow. This is, wow. It has Book 1, Scripture, God, Jesus Christ, idolatry, works of God, miracles, mediums, and methods of revelation. duties to God, angels, good and evil, genealogies, Hebrews, other nations, the outward man, external nature, industrial employment products. It's like 27 book Hitchcock's new analysis of the Holy Bible. This is why I feel like it is so very important for us to have multiple versions of the work. Multiple versions of the work. So we can see what has changed. Right? There is so many different things. We have, wow, first tablets of stone. We have, ooh, names and general representations of God. Jehovah or Jah. So when I say Jah's week, I love it. Oh my God. Look at two. The Book of God. Look at that. Look. The I Am. The Lord of Hosts. Ishi. Ishi. Where are you? I feel like you're right here. I feel like you're like right here. Ah, it is. You're right here. I felt it. Ishi. Right? Right? But just go with it. Where are you? Come to me, come to me, come to me. So one of the renditions of his name, and if you kind of go back through the translation of the name Jesus, right, and how did it evolve and how it was translated. I'm trying to find the one right here because this talks about, well, it keeps calling them Isha, but it's not just Isha. It's Ishi or Isha, Isha Nathi is one of the early names. And I'm trying to find it because it states it, I thought, very plainly. I remember seeing it, and maybe I'm just so excited that I can't find it. Okay. Well, we'll just go here because it's relative. You see where it says that the history of Isha or Jesus the Christ, but again, their early name was not, it was not Jesus, right? That's a translated name. And the name that was given, Isha or Ishi, is like, in sometimes or translation they say Isha or Isha Nathi, and in this book, this 18th century, they reference Ishi, Ishi Nathi, and that is, yeah, the early translation. And you can Google that. That's not nothing new. If you look at the history and translation of the name Jesus, it will take you back to the early translations of their name. Isha Nathi came to India around the age of 14. After this, he returned to his own country and began preaching. After his brutish and materialistic countrymen conspired against him and had him crucified. After crucifixion, or perhaps even before it, Isha Nathi entered Samadhi by means of yoga. Entered Samadhi or wholeness by the means of yoga. And that's why I really got this book, and it was linked onto me to discover it, because in our current day, like King James Version Bible, it only talks to us. We hear very brief descriptions of their early life, and it's about birth, and then it skips to like very young age. I want to say right around 12ish, when they talk about the messenger going into the temple and speaking in such a mature manner that they were given secret teachings and revelations onto the masters, and then kind of making a ruckus about why do you have all this stuff in here, that this is not what it's about. Speaking to Mary like, I got to be about my father's business, like having a very mature and acute understanding of what the calling was. And I'm being kind of pulled back, so I'm not going to touch too much on it, because people are a little bit sensitive. I love you, Ashe, Ashe. It's all for conversation, it's all for learning and discovery, and that's what I like to do. So if you are okay with it, and I pray you resonate, and if you could just hang on in there for the sake of conversation, it's learning, we're learning together. So after around the age of 12, we don't hear any more about their development. It was like, where did they go and what happened? We hear the next telling of John the Baptist in saying that the messenger was coming back, right? And they kind of gave like the prophecy of their return back to the home country, then like getting baptized and being received up, and saying that we can hear the Father, the Alpha and Omega, come and speak and say, thou art my devout son in whom I am well pleased. And he was anointed and put into ministry at that time. But what happened in the upgrowing? What was the early years like? What were the middle to teen years? Where did the messenger go? Where did they study? Where were they coming into an enlightenment? What happened? What happened? Why is it missing? Again, why is it missing? Right? And this is one of the places that we found that information, right? And so as we got into our learning and again following the breadcrumbs, this right here is just beautiful. The fact that it brings that name specifically, Ishi. Yes. Because it speaks right to this book, and it just gives it that much more validity, that much more credibility. I can't wait to get into it. I can't wait to really use it and to begin to study in it. Wow. Yeah. It's just, ooh. Difficulty of knowing God, attributes of God as being, attributes of God as a person, the prophecies. Everything is so much here. The miracles, the works of God. You talking about the family, virgins mentioned, institution, laws of marriage. We just want to read all of it, right, as much as we can. References to Chronicles of Israel, references to Chronicles of Judah, books referred to now extant. Wherefore it is said in the book of the wars of the Lord. We were just talking about, when we went through how many books that we study on and why we study the way that we do as being individual theologians, right? That one of the things that's in the KJV, it mentions the book of Wars, and it is not in there in how we found it in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Look, we just cracked it open. We're just perusing. And I got to put my finger on it. It's number 4. And I don't know if I can get this in here real good where you guys can read it, because sometimes it just comes out a little bit blurry. So I want to see if I can get that in there. But one of the first things it says is, wherefore it is said in the book of wars of the Lord, what he did in the Red Sea and in the brooks of Arnon, at the stream of the brooks that goeth down to the dwelling of Ar, and lieth upon the border of Moab. Then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel, and said in the sight of Israel, Sun, S-U-N, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun, S-U-N, stood still, and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of the heaven and has not to go down about a whole day. And there was no day like that before it or after it. And the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. Also he bade them teach the children of Judah to use the use of the bow. And behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. Wow. And he spake of trees and the cedar. It's like so much. I just can't wait. And the rest of the acts of Solomon and all that he did in his wisdom, are they not written in the books of Acts of Solomon? And I know that all of Solomon's books are not in the KJV. They're not. Wow. Some of the imagery that's here. This reminds me, because my grandfather was a pastor and we had like a family church when we were young, and it reminds me of this really big old Bible that he had sitting on his pulpit. And it was, yeah, it does, doesn't it? And it was just like, wow. And I always wanted to have something like that. It was something that called me to it because it felt complete and whole. And some of the books that my grandmother, who also was an evangelist, had, I noticed that some of the books that were in her books are not in the current versions. And I believe that is why they had such old texts. They literally, I think, look, I mean, like, it's just like, wow. Solomon in his glory. Look at this. So, I just wanted to come in. Look, what did I say? Thank you, Source. Thank you to the Alpha and Omega, the infinite intelligence of the all. Y'all, look what's in here. Look what's in here. That's not in the KJV. I was just saying that. And I was saying I found it in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It is the Book of War. It is the Book of War. Wow. It's so much that they try to hold from us, yo. It's so much that they try to keep secret, that they want to separate and dismantle so that we don't have the fullness of knowledge. And it takes our diligent seeking to find these things in order to have a fullness, a knowingness of self, to know thyself. Now, why is it that they don't want you to know? Why would they cherry pick information and keep it hidden? And this didn't just affect certain people. It affected all people. We talked about religious persecution. We talked about using religion as a weapon to justify atrocities and to do things that have had a lasting effect, an imprint globally. Not just on one people, but all people who are under the guise of what those energies did to change the complete word. And I don't even know if this is all of it. I feel like it's not. It's still separated. It's segregated. The word is written on everything in creation. Made by the intelligence of the Alpha and the Omega, by the infinite intelligence, aka principal thing, wisdom. The breath of life moving in tandem. Is segregated, is separated, broken in pixelated pieces. But if we are diligent in our seeking, we can find it and we can read it and we can discover the deeper meaning of self. To know thyself, to know the source that created us, to see it everywhere, everywhere. What is it that you value? What is it that you hold dear? Is it wisdom? Is it greater than anything else? Is it greater than rubies, gold, vanities, any vanity? No. Wisdom. It tells you your genesis. I just wanted to share with y'all. Thank you so much for indulging me, for being with me, for receiving me. And we're going to see what it brings. Something that's a little bit more complete, that's got a little bit more meat, so I can be edified in the spirit, because I got a yoke upon me, and I need to bear it. To the next now, y'all. I love you. I love you. I love you. Ashe.